All right, good evening. I'd like to call to order tonight's meeting. It is Wednesday, January 4th, not January, Wednesday, June 4th, 2025. Well, it is a little chilly. Welcome to Independence Township Zoning Board of Appeals. I'd like to invite you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to start the evening. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Ryan, if we could have a roll call, please.
Mr. Auger?
Present.
Mr. Zurek?
Here.
Mr. Epping?
Present.
Mr. Ritchie?
Here.
And Mr. Wallace?
Here. And we also have Brian Ottman from the Township Building and Planning Department. Gentlemen, we have an agenda that was published online and it's available at the meeting tonight. If we could have a review of the agenda, any changes or additions?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
We have a motion to approve the agenda and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. We have an agenda for tonight. We have just a few items. We'll begin with a public comment. That'll be an opportunity for anybody online or in the audience to speak on anything not on the agenda tonight. We have no unfinished business. We'll move right into new business. We have two items, and I'll call those in and walk us through what each application, how we'll have that conversation. We'll then have a review and approval of last month's meetings, a discussion, and then ultimately an adjournment of tonight's meeting. So with this, tonight, or right now, is the public comment. Again, if there's anybody in the audience that would like to speak to anything that is not on the agenda for the zoning board, now would be that chance. Seeing nobody, Brian, so I guess we have no one online?
One person
Oh.
online.
Is there anybody online that would like to speak on an item that's not on the agenda? Seeing none, I will close public comment. Again, we have no unfinished business, so we'll move right into new business. We have two cases. I'll call each case in, read the application and the address and so forth, describe what it's being sought after. Then we'll just invite the applicant up to the podium. If you could give us your name and address, and then just walk us through what your application is, what it is that you're asking to do on your property, any considerations or information that we should be aware of to try and understand your particular situation and why it's deviating from the ordinance. We'll then ask just question and answer between the zoning board and the applicant. At that point, we'll ask for public comment, anything that's come into the township or anybody in the audience. We'll bring it back, perhaps ask some follow-up questions and ultimately try and provide some type of a decision or guidance. If anybody does speak tonight, if you could sign in at the door before, if you haven't done so already, if you do speak, just sign in before you leave so that our minutes are accurate with your name and your address. So I appreciate that. So with that, I will call case number 25-008, Scott Bailey, petitioner, requesting a 25-foot side yard setback variance from section 5.06A4 in order to put an addition on an existing garage, which was approved by the Zoning Board of Appeals in 2003 to provide approval for that same variance. So again, it's a 25-foot side yard setback. This is located at 7392 Deer Hill Court, which is in the R1R rural residential portion of our township. Mr. Bailey.
And just one correction, my name is Scott Bailey. The address is 7392 Deer View Court.
Deer View. See, I'm making mistakes tonight, so thank you.
No problem.
Deer View Court, which is off of Reese.
Correct. And as read, that's exactly what this is. We have a existing structure, garage, that is within 25 feet of the sideline. That was the first variance. What we're wanting to do is just add on to the back of it 20 feet. So it would just be parallel with the side boundary line. So we're not going closer. It's just parallel to it. It's just adding on an additional 20 feet.
So it's extending the back of the garage,
Correct.
but on the same
For
plan.
storage.
For
So
storage.
we don't have to store stuff outside.
And in the R1R, we have a side yard, typical side yard. The ordinance requires it to be 50 foot. You would receive a 25-foot variance. It's technically not a net new variance. It's just an extension of that building.
Exactly. We're not, and we had the survey company come out and they made sure that with the additional 20 that, you know, we wanted to make sure the garage wasn't on an angle or anything that we would be getting closer, and we're not vertically parallel with it.
Okay. And is the addition, I'm assuming, same roof line, same siding, just? in the
Yep, same roof line. It'll be actually new siding, but the whole garage will be re-sided new. And then, yeah, new, same roof line. We're not going higher or anything like that.
No additional bathrooms or
Nope,
bedrooms or
no,
anything?
no
there?
water.
Okay. Brian, one question I've got, Brian, is in the 2003 minutes, there was discussion about the size of the garage in relationship to the house. In this application, that's not mentioned. Is there any issue with that as it relates to the ordinance?
Since 2003, we've relaxed the accessory size standards.
Okay.
And that used to come up for some of you that have been around a while. And Jeff McGee used to always point that out when he was chair when that happened. So at that time, the regulations were a lot tighter. They've been relaxed since then, and I checked out all the numbers. He certainly is within his size allotment.
Okay, great, thank you. I'll bring it to the board. Ken, any thoughts or questions?
Yeah, I want to bring up a thought that, it's my understanding when I read through the historical notes that there was the tree and maybe a septic field that kind of pushed the garage closer to the property line. I'm not sure where the field is, but did you think about offsetting the back of the garage 12 feet, so it's 12 feet farther from the property line?
That would be pushing it into the septic field and that tree that you're speaking of,
Well, I don't know where the septic field.
in that direction.
Yes, but I don't think it would be hitting the tree or the septic field. And I guess my question to the board is, would that be a consideration, or why would we not try and push them more in line with the rules?
It's a fair question to ask, for sure. I mean, so so the zoning board of appeals looks at, by definition, things that are not consistent with the ordinance, and one of the charges is to adhere to, whenever possible, the ordinance or make the deviation as small as possible. So Mr. Zarek brings up a good point, is are there other alternatives to do that that would either be in line with the ordinance or be less of a variance request? So
I guess some of my thoughts are, first of all, from in my opinion, from a visual perspective, I don't think that would be pleasing, and specifically from the roadside, with the addition we're talking about going on the back. From the roadside, my neighbors across the street, they're not going to see anything different, right? So I think from that standpoint, it makes more sense to go off the back because it's streamlined. Everything then is visibly pleasing. Going the direction you're talking about is coming in towards the house side, the backyard side. We're also putting on an addition to the house, so that would be shrinking that whole area down greatly.
So your point is that you'd actually see less of it if it remains in line, sort of like
Exactly.
single file. You back up to the school property?
Yes,
the
on
vacant school property?
that's on the part of that left boundary side.
Okay. It's a good question, Ken. Any other thoughts?
No, I guess I would like everybody to think about that thought, because it looks like he has a doorway between the two structures, and the reason why I said maybe 12 feet is you could still have the adjoining doorway between structures. I have no other thoughts right now.
I think the other thing too is the other thought, again, this extra part is for storage. I have a boat. I want to keep the yard clean. I've got a tractor with some implements and stuff like that. So, both want to keep the yard clean as well as have that storage thing. So on the back side of the garage, that additional 20 feet, there's going to be a single garage door to be able to pull stuff in from the back side of the garage. So
Okay.
if the garage was rotated
I
90
would-
degrees,
My thought was,
that
should be
that
just
garage
offset
doors
My thought is that you just offset at 12 feet, that's all.
towards the house, but then the garage door is facing my,
Away from the.
My kitchen and my
Away
dining
from the
room.
parallel line of the property is my thought.
Right.
But I think we understand what you're saying.
Okay.
If you have anything else, please let us know.
Yeah. Ron?
I guess you answered some of my questions. I was gonna ask about the additional square footage that I read about in the case as well, so you answered that. I guess what I didn't hear too is, do we have any feedback from the neighbors as well?
you can ask him.
Especially-
He's right there.
We'll get to public comment in just a minute, but nothing that is coming from the counter or the email.
Okay, that's,
And I did talk, just so you guys know, I mean, he is the one most up to, because that property line.
Okay.
But I did speak to all the neighbors. They already, ahead of time, they knew what was going on and they had no problems with it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Wallace?
So I don't quite understand, will the 12 feet make it conforming, so he doesn't need a variance
Not
at all?
quite.
no.
We
So,
need 24, about 25 feet more.
yeah,
Right.
that was sort of the math as I had it figured. So it would be like these two buildings,
Yes.
yeah, that seems awkward to me, and strained. So, I'm fine with, it does look like you've got another tree back there you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
take down or drastically trim?
Yes, correct.
Okay. That's
No,
just
Just
one
one
Go ahead,
point
Ron.
on the survey, it says 24.9, he says it's gonna be exactly parallel, but he's showing 25 at the back. I guess I don't wanna set it that we're gonna do the 25-foot setback and then he's at 24.9.
It may not be perfectly parallel.
Oh, but it's, at least it's
Away
away,
from- right.
yeah.
Right, it's tilting in.
One thing we've added is the survey locating, this wouldn't have got passed today, if I'm correct, Brian, they have to locate that slab, and if it was off that 3 inches, then they would have to move it over or come back before us. We haven't been, since that's been in effect, we haven't had anybody, I don't think, come back before
We've
us.
switched to our motions to add in a condition of nearly every motion, because we are dealing about inches, is to do a verification survey to
Isn't that
verify
what
the
this is?
corners.
This isn't good enough?
Before, or during construction, so once it's staked, before the structure is built, there's an extra step that goes through the building department where they survey the corners to ensure that, in fact, it's where it says it is. This is an existing structure, so it's
And
not
does this
much-
24.9 mean that it was in violation of the prior variance?
That's what I take.
Huh?
That's why we do it.
Oh, so it did happen before?
Yeah, it's called a placement verification,
Sure.
so.
I guess that's why I was bringing it up. If it's-
Yeah.
It says in the petition he wants a 25-foot variance, but it's already less than 25, so, or more than, I guess.
The new one presumably
Well,
is not.
We don't know that, because that's the front of it. She's in violation with this building for sure, but don't tell him what that is.
Well, that's what I was getting at. I don't know,
Yeah.
25. They're putting 25 because that's what
Something
he's
less than
asking for.
25, and it's a straight line.
Yeah, it's gotta be, isn't it? But less than inches.
I was just bringing it up for
Yeah.
wording if we go to the motion, so.
Right. Any other thoughts, Alan?
Mine goes along with what Ken had to say. I think bringing it more into conformance, I was thinking the whole L shape, putting the whole addition on the side of it, it would still be a foot, if attached it would still be a foot out of being in the side yard correctly. But if this garage ever catches fire and burns down, can't keep it in conformance if we don't start changing it now. The septic, as what is in the 2003 appeal, the septic, and that the engineers have plotted this, that the septic is in front of the tree behind the house. And the tree is plenty far forward where this garage could be just tacked right onto the side of this one and make it a L shape and bring it more into conformance and less of a variance.
The survey says approximate septic field location or area.
Right, but it wouldn't be where the tree is, that's
No,
for
no,
sure.
it's exactly.
Yeah, and then he's gonna put an addition on, so it's gotta locate the septic field. It's gotta be somewhere between the tree and the house.
Right. Right. So, all right, why don't, Mr. Bailey, if you take a seat for just a minute, we'll ask your neighbor or anybody from the public who would like to make a public comment to come on up. Again, if you give us your name and your address, please.
Good evening, my name is Chris Kranz. My address is 7432 Deerview Court, directly next to the Baileys. We have no concern with.
So you're
the
on,
addition.
you're closer to Reese, so
Yes, sir.
you've got a,
West.
west. You've got a detached structure kind of in more or less the same area. Looks
I
like.
do, yes.
Yep,
There is no setback for mine. I was plenty within.
right, and so you've got no objection to the addition?
No, to me, it's running basically parallel with the same thing and just a little bit longer structure.
Right. Okay, great, appreciate it. Anything else? Anybody else in the audience like to comment on this case? Seeing none, Mr. Bailey, if you want to come back up. My thought, and you know, it's funny because from case to case, I think we have the right conversation in terms of validating the ordinance. In this case, I think I would look at it differently if it was a net new variance request, because I do think that the yard is big enough. Simply extending it, I think it probably simplifies architecture and appearance from the road and probably appearance from the neighbor. So in this particular case, I think that essentially validating the existing variance to me makes sense. I think we might be adding different complexities by shifting it anywhere from 12 to 25 feet, my opinion.
I'll say I agree with that too. I think it's gonna be less visual disturbance in the way it's presented. If we forced him to put the garage, to the east, even if, he doubled the garage this way to the east, to me, it's gonna have more, visual
More
architectural,
mass.
effect on the neighbors and everybody as well. And obviously, it's probably more construction costs and everything as well, so.
I think you make an important distinction that this isn't a new variance. It's really an expansion of an older variance, and I know you all, before I got here, were encouraging people to move away, but I think you've made an important distinction that this is not a new variance,
Right.
really.
It's some-
I previously said that I like the idea of it just going straight back. I am wondering what anybody's ideas are about doing, about what was pointed out with about the old variance being inappropriate. And it may be that even a new one is not 25 feet at the front of the extension.
It probably won't be, but you could, if we have no issue that we'll move forward on this, we can just say that the wall, the structure has to be parallel and in line, and then the back corner has to be 25 foot off the
There you
property
go.
line.
I had
And
two
then-
parts of that, but yeah.
I think that's a smart way to do it.
With being at an angle already, if this passes as it goes back, it's gonna be further than 25 feet at the back corner of the new addition, because you're running at a triangle, so it'll get maybe 25'3" at the back corner, which is a better variance than what he's asking for, because it'd be further off the property line.
I thought they were showing it,
At the front, it's 3 inches short.
yeah, but at the very back of the addition, they showed the 25 feet, so
Right,
it's
so
fine there.
that's what he's after.
Okay.
And I do have the builder here too, so he'll make sure those walls are, that wall is parallel.
That's a smart way to do it. Well, If anybody has additional thoughts or would like to offer a motion?
I guess I'll try for a motion here in case 25-003 for the petitioner Bailey, that we grant a 25-yard side yard setback, 25-foot side yard setback to the extension of the barn or garage that's shown on the drawing that's supplied to us that's dated on 5/6/2025, and that we do a placement verification for the back, would be the northwest corner, I guess, of the unit to be 25 foot or more. Did I say enough?
From the property boundary.
From the property boundary.
Luke, does it have I'll support. Ron.
Just one clarification, I think at the beginning, he said case 25003, it's 08.
I'm sorry, 25008.
Okay, just want to make sure to state the right case number.
And Ken, you had that notion about the straight line with the existing one. I don't think I heard it in your motion.
Okay, well, let's add that the new portion of the structure must be parallel to the wall, the side wall along the property line, and in line
With the existing
with the
garage.
existing garage.
Brian, are you clear on that? Is everybody clear on that motion with that change? And I will support that amendment. So I support the motion.
Only a placement verification at the northwest corner.
The whole
Correct,
thing.
because the southwest corner is going to be a known
Or should we
position,
just
right?
do the whole thing?
Yeah, just,
But
Yeah,
that's fine, but how do you know the numbers right now? We don't, right?
well, the placement verification's gonna show it.
Ah, okay,
and it will show the parallel to the boundary and the straight line with the existing.
okay.
Do you need any more information on that, Brian?
No, I got it.
If we could have a roll call, please?
Mr. Auger,
No.
Mr. Effing,
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie,
Yes,
Mr. Wallace.
Yes.
Mr. Zurek.
Yes.
Motion passes. As you can see, it's important to us and to you and to all the
Oh, yeah.
neighbors that it's accurately placed. So if between you and your builder, you work with the building department and get that placement verification and follow, everything that was presented here tonight in terms of the architecture and materials, that'd be terrific.
Not a problem.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Good
you,
luck.
gentlemen.
Thank
thank
you.
you.
All right, with that, we will call case number 25-009. Michael Davenport, petitioner, requesting a 12-foot variance from section 4.06, table 4.06, in order to permit an existing deck to be converted into a three-season room, which is located at 6385 Walden Woods Drive, which is in the R1A single-family residential portion of the township. Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Mr. Davenport.
Michael Davenport. I live at 6385 Walden Woods Drive, and again, I'm here to request a 12-foot variance to permit construction of a four-season sunroom on the existing covered deck. The existing covered deck was built in 2018 with an approved permit. It was designed such that you could add a four-season sunroom to it later, using the same roof, the same deck. Essentially, it's to replace some of the structure and railings, but to add three walls, four-season construction. It's going to be done by the same contractor, D&W, out in Davison. For it, I have approval from the Architectural Control Committee, from my homeowners association, the Waldenwood Homeowners Association, and I have written approval from my three adjoining neighbors.
Great. And you provided a really thorough application and narrative. We appreciate that.
I've never done this before.
No, it's one of those things, the more information, the better, so we appreciate that. So it's an interesting situation. You're in the R1A, which has a rear setback from a building a rear yard setback of 50 foot. And I did the math on the survey that was provided, and the back of your house is about 51 and a half feet. So you really aren't permitted to put an addition on. A deck is permitted. You've got a deck with an existing roof, which is permitted. But we trigger essentially a new structure when we put walls on that same structure, even though it's seasonal in nature. And so, just in terms of overview, we're here tonight because you want to modify that existing structure to create walls, which then reclassified in our ordinance to a permanent structure, which then creates this situation where a variance is requested. All right. The deck itself, it looks like it's going to remain, you said be modified, the railings. The roof structure is going to remain and be modified somewhat, and it really will become, are they screened walls or structural walls?
They are, I believe, like 4.5-inch thick clad walls, home insulation. The windows are the same windows we bought from D&W to replace the windows in our house.
Okay.
So, and there's a 6-foot sliding glass door at the exit from the deck out into the yard.
Okay.
And it's the same 6-foot sliding glass door we have on our house right now.
Okay, perfect. Right. Brian, any, from a building point of view, obviously it'll have to get permits and everything else, but any thoughts or things that the township would be looking for specifically as it relates to the structure on top of a deck?
Well, when I was looking at this with our building official, the permit that was approved in 2018 should have been in front of you, because it was a 12-foot wide, long deck. And there's a roof over it with posts in the ground.
That's not allowed, is it?
No,
So,
that makes it a structure.
Right.
So it's already a structure.
So in essence,
It's,
the variance should have came before you back in 18, but, our building inspector, issued the permit.
So what I just said, I misspoke. It's not becoming a structure because of the walls. It's technically already a structure because of the roof and the posts.
Yeah, so what he's doing is just enclosing where the existing roof already is. He's enclosing that,
Yeah.
keeping the wood planks, and basically replacing the railing with walls. And so it was another one of these no plot plan with the, when we looked at the application of the original one issued in 2018, there was no plot plan submitted, and it was just issued.
Yeah. Looks like a big yard. Probably assumed it was 50 foot.
and we have no engineering drawings, location of anything that's existing either, right
No,
now.
I mean, all the, and it wasn't even submitted in 18 of any kind of plot plan, which is absolutely required now.
Right. Just a mortgage survey, at least in this package.
Yeah, which shows an old, the paver patio. It doesn't really show, any kind of deck. But that wasn't even submitted with the original application in
Okay.
2018.
Okay. Well,
so
should we go
just to
re- go
clarify,
ahead,
so
yeah.
so this is a raised deck. If there was no roof and no holes holding up the roof, the deck would be okay because it's a wood deck? I mean, it has poles.
12 foot of it would be.
Yeah, you're allowed to intrude into the rear yard setback by 10 feet on a deck. This is 12 feet. In fact, I think it's a little bit more with the stairs going down. So that's why we just,
So we have two issues with this setup right now.
well, the building department issued it at the time to have it constructed, and the application shows the roof on it, and whether those posts are in the ground or not, that creates a structure and in our ordinance. And that's why I put down as the variance, a 12-foot variance, because that's essentially the size of this structure that he's gonna enclose.
Right.
So, because it's basically intruding into
Do we
the
need to
rear
make
yard.
it more than 12 because of the stairs?
I think Well, I think it's 12
Okay,
total.
all right.
That's what I didn't see
So
the
that's,
dimensions of it.
that's the way we were able to look at it. So it's 12 feet into the rear yard setback, there's your variance.
And I did, using this mortgage survey, I did 121.46. I just thought, I wonder how far it is. And if you go to the right side, it's 30.7 and 29.1 and 10 to the back of the house, which is, leaves you a rear yard of almost 52 feet. So if it's a little more than 12 foot, you know, with the stairs, technically you'd be able to go 14 foot.
But we have to remember, a mortgage survey is not an actual survey.
Completely agree.
Yeah, and we
Just
use
an
GIS to do our measurement, which is approximately a foot, plus or minus, so.
And my problem is with it, is with the roof. It got passed, but we have tons of new subdivisions, Mr. Wallace and Ron, that have been approved here, a lot on Clarkston Road. They're right on the back building setback. We had a ton of cases coming before us on putting decks on the back patio. The patio doors are there, but the house is right on the back setback line. So that's where the 10-foot allowable, when it came in by the planning commission to allow a 10-foot deck. That was it. No roof, no anything. Parts of Stonewood, all the Pulte subdivisions are all that way. I'm for leaving the roof because it was done under permit, but not for enclosing it. We're setting a precedence. Especially in this subdivision, I'm very familiar with it. They're all, the houses were built right to the limit.
To the rear setback, they're shallow lots. Ken, any?
Yeah, I read all your information. You have a lot of information, and we appreciate the way you submitted it. And right now, I'm in the middle of the road. I'm struggling with what Mr. Allen is saying here, and I guess I'm not sure yet. I don't know if anybody else has anything to say.
Just point of clarification, the existing stairs are gonna stay there, you're not modifying
Yes.
those or changing those?
Yeah,
So,
there's a sliding glass door that would replace a part of the rail that's right there. And that's our egress, and we're required to have an outdoor light there, which is part of our
but you're
package.
basically not changing the layout of the stairs.
No.
The stairs are gonna be there. I mean, we're not, the footprint that's encroaching into the backyard isn't really gonna change.
Correct.
It's just a matter of whether it's enclosed or not enclosed, so.
Right.
And I guess I hear what Mr. Auger said, and I've been on the planning commission for a while, so I was one of the people that helped drive that, to have the build envelopes on all new buildings, or new build lots, so people could see that right from the get-go. But,
What's expandable and what's not.
right, so I mean, I guess, to me, the footprint is already here, it's already there. I think, whether it's enclosed or not enclosed, to me, doesn't make a difference, so, in my mind.
Doesn't change the existing condition.
Right, I don't think we're making an eyesore, I don't think we're creating any visual, discontinuities that we can't live with, and so, and I guess if there was a complaint from a neighbor or something, I guess I would take that into account, but.
Mhm.
And we don't have anything written from neighbors.
I do.
It's just in his package.
Yep.
Okay, and they're positive, you're saying?
Oh, yes. 2 emails and a letter, and they signed them in person. I took them back.
But
Right.
then you would have no problem saying no to the neighbor coming down next week on putting?
If you wanted to put a roof on, I guess I guess I'm getting at, it's like, since we already approved the roof, and to me, the structure's already there, we're not expanding it,
I
we're not.
I understand that, but the
supposed-
neighbor
so-
comes to you, you're gonna say no to him?
Yes, because they would be putting something on the roof, so. I guess this might be contradictory, Yeah,
No, but it's a good-
because, you know, as far as being consistent, but
The zoning board is, you know, it's a fine line. Theoretically, every property is different, and we don't set precedent, but it's, at the same time, it's an obvious, good question. Neil?
I agree with all of Ron's analysis. A mistake was made, but it was the township's mistake. It is what it is. And so that's the question, is in closing it, make it somehow worse. I would say, sir, to you, I noticed in what you did submit, that you said you felt like rights were being taken away from you.
I was so intimidated by
As
that
it-
application.
As it turns out, you had rights granted to you.
I understand that now.
And maybe not rights, but you
I
or
understand.
whoever got away with one.
I understand completely.
It is an interesting question about whether if others came and, whether we would approve them or not. And I would look at them and, you know, say what's what with each one of them as
Look
it
at an
came.
individual.
This one's got a leg up over anybody else coming, and that's not on the homeowner, it's sort of on the township, so.
I'm looking at the pictures of the rear yard looking north and south that he's furnished, and from what I see, there's nobody that has anything like this
Right.
up and down the street.
I mean,
Right.
I mean, to me, it looks like there's plenty of space, as
Oh, yeah.
we're not
Mhm.
approaching it.
Well, I will ask the question because we
And
have to.
I would, so let me just say one thing further. If one of the neighbors came in, I think the distinction would be made, that I would make, is that the township made a mistake, and it's there. And then all we did was enclose it. So, there is a different factual situation from anybody else. It's not to say I wouldn't consider it separately based on the facts and circumstances that were presented, but I think there is a distinction. And it's not on this board, but it's on the township more broadly.
Yes.
Because you need-
I think I appreciate that last sentence.
Okay.
Brian, is there any, or I'll ask you, because if there's someone still online, is there anybody online that would like to comment on this case?
I believe it's just the builder, so.
This builder, okay, great. I will then close public comment because we have no one online and no one in the room. Gentlemen, we have a situation where we've got an existing structure. I guess it's not technically non-conforming, but it just is what it is. It's an existing structure that was built with a permit that perhaps wasn't reviewed in its entirety at the time. And the applicant is asking to essentially modify it to add additional walls and windows, but not expand it. Do we have any other thoughts, questions, or motion?
I'll make a motion in case 25-009 to deny the request because it's an expansion of a permitted use by past building officials.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and support. Any questions on the motion?
Now, when you second, you can still vote for it.
Yes.
Okay. Just bring it to
You
that.
could still vote against it, you mean?
No, he doesn't have to, he can second.
Vote either way.
And I can vote for it too,
Right. Yeah, so I'm interested in a lot of
I'm confused.
by
Lot-
Robert's rules.
lot of zoning boards that I go to around the state almost always vote affirmative of the application. Doesn't necessarily mean, but it's at least a standard motion that they vote to support as requested and then say.
So I may not be clear on the motion because of the discussion about how we're able to vote. My understanding always is you can vote however you want to vote,
Right.
whoever made the motion. So that's
Yeah,
confused
that's
me
what I
now,
said.
and I'd like to know more about the motion.
So it's a motion to deny the application.
Okay, that's what I understood it to be, but thank you.
A yes is you're voting to deny.
I get it, yeah. Just that discussion about voting down there
Right.
confused me.
So we'll take a roll call then, or?
Yep, roll call, please, Brian.
Mr. Epping,
No.
Had to go first, huh?
I had to think about my vote.
No.
Mr. Wallace.
No.
Mr. Zurich,
No.
Mr. Auger.
No. No.
In a roundabout way, your application has been granted.
Thank you.
We appreciate,
We don't have to make a motion?
No. Really? We should be making a motion
Yeah,
to
you gotta-
approve,
I,
because
good
we
point.
want to put conditions on it.
very good
Yes.
point,
Yeah.
yep. No, thank you for correcting me, right.
so, the motion I'd like to include would be to accept his request, but we have to add in somehow that I'm accepting it from my personal point of view because of the previous acceptance by the township to build the roof.
Add some clarification to why it's
Yes,
there.
which could distinguish the difference between one of his neighbors coming before us. So to me, we have to add that in somehow.
I think, let me give it a,
We'll let the lawyer,
Word.
So what happens if we get somebody that bootlegged a roof on an existing
what do you call
deck
that?
comes in?
Well,
It's
this
not
had,
approved,
this had a
it's-
permit.
Mr. Chair, typically, this is referred to as administrative error, quote unquote.
Okay.
So I'm sure Mr. Wallace is gonna write it up similarly.
What's that?
You know, it's typically, we would term this administrative error. You know, it was made a mistake originally. But I'm sure you're gonna craft it.
But it wasn't
Well, the pressure's on,
approved
right?
permitted structure, so-
I know
I'd-
you can do it.
I'd move to, I'm not sure I got the right case, I move to approve the, I don't see the case number.
25009.
Oh, there it is. Move to approve the variance requested in case number 25009 to permit the enclosure of the existing deck and roof in the manner presented to the township, based on the fact that this deck and roof exist as a result of a previous township administrative error, and with the requirement that there, we wouldn't need a placement survey for this. So, no, that's,
It's already been-
click, and that's the motion.
We have a motion,
I'll support.
we have support.
Question for Brian, so for something like this, would you go out or send somebody out to make sure it was enclosed in the manner that they presented it?
Well, I think that with the building permit application, that's all gonna be
Okay.
verified by the inspector.
Guess that's also why I asked to make sure the stairs weren't getting modified or
Mhm.
changed
Yeah.
too, so if they're gonna stay, then the footprint
the
doesn't change at
footprint,
all.
to me, the footprint has to stay the same.
Right,
Yes.
that's
If
what I'm
they
getting.
put a new piece of wood in.
But that's why I said in the manner presented to the
Okay.
township. I didn't
Okay.
want to regurgitate everything that's in the
Right.
application, and
Right. All right, Brian, we have a new motion to support with the facts stated in the motion and support. Could we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Ritchie,
Yes,
Mr. Wallace.
yes.
Mr. Zurich,
Yes.
Mr. Auger,
Yes.
and Mr. Eckert.
Yes. There we go.
I'd like to
But
tell
don't
Mr.
tell your neighbors to come up
I'd
for
like to
us.
tell Mr. Davenport that I appreciate all the detail that you put in your thing, because I probably wouldn't have felt the same way if you
Thank you.
wouldn't have had the documents from your neighbors and all the other stuff that you did put in.
I appreciate the consideration very much.
Thank you. Good luck. Continue, obviously, working with the building department, the planning department. Thank you. Thank you for helping us through that, and really good points tonight. Gentlemen, we have, that's the end of our new business. We have our minutes from the May 7th, 2025 meeting. There were 2 cases at that meeting.
I'm not sure about the, don't go away. What did I touch?
Just put it on the minutes.
Yeah, oh, I just have
Click on
to,
there.
right here?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the language on the first case number. I made the motion, and it does not seem familiar to me.
The long motion that you made?
No, the
So
short
this
one.
is for the
Okay.
shed that was out front.
I got bored trying to read the long one.
It was just a synopsis.
It brings up,
My desire would be to, without going into any great detail about what I see there and why I think it's maybe not accurate, I mean, you take this right off of here, huh? Right off of
Yeah,
that,
pretty much, they did, yeah, our recording secretary does, but, I mean, if you feel like it's not saying the spirit of what you said, then we can correct.
if that's accurate, I wish I never said it, let me put it that way. And so I would like to postpone the consideration of these minutes.
For clarification on that.
Mhm.
When you point that out,
Although, you know, is that,
Mm,
that gives us an issue,
yeah.
huh?
With the other-
On the timing of the second one.
But
yeah,
you mean that the second one was first?
I will say.
It doesn't matter, as soon as
Well,
we
we'll just
don't, but here,
publish
actually,
the
here's what I'm gonna
minutes.
suggest. I'm gonna suggest I'll move to approve these minutes, subject to a review and representation of them regarding the first case number.
I have spoken to the original, the first petitioner,
Yeah,
and she understood the motion, and,
well, I'm not, yeah, what I'm referring to now about, well, I don't wanna delay it, and
Right.
I've made this motion to approve is the second case number, because as we
we
found
want to
out,
publish the minutes.
as you all found out last fall,
yes.
postponing the minutes makes a difference sometimes.
Right.
So as I said, I move to approve the minutes, subject to administrative review of the language of the first case and having that represented to us.
I'll support.
We have support of approving the minutes with that one condition. All in favor?
Aye.
Great.
Opposed, the same?
I have, under discussion, I have the case we had on Clintonville Road, north of Walden, west side, that sat way back. and
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I see the property's up for sale. Has anything ever happened to that addition?
He had to cut it.
He did
What-
cut it.
What,
Okay.
tell me which project it is?
It does a big modern.
Oh, yeah,
house.
yeah, back in the woods.
Two-story.
I thought he bought land.
No, the guy wouldn't sell it to him.
No,
He cut his addition
yeah, he did.
that he built himself during COVID allegedly.
Took 3 foot off it. That's why the
So
survey
And
is
it's, and
important.
it's for sale.
There's
No
a
permit.
modern house on the
It's tucked
northwest
away in the woods,
quadrant
can't even
of
see it.
Clintonville and Walden.
Just
Yeah.
for the Oakhurst entrance.
Yeah,
Basically.
Near there.
And it's real modern, kind of cool house. You can only see it online.
Class on the corner,
Yeah.
that was the problem.
And he built an addition during COVID by himself apparently, and right up against the back property line to the point where
And
you.
put a garage door.
If you walked out of the door, you would literally have to step on your neighbor's property. And I think it was.
We have some
enforcement
funny
or-
cases come.
Yeah.
Well, and the garage on Ortonville Road that you made move, that him move it,
Yeah.
he had
Mhm.
already pre-built it,
Yeah.
burned down.
Did it really?
That's interesting.
By itself,
I
or?
don't know.
He
He
built that
moved
one
it
right
and
on
then
the
it burnt
property
down?
line too.
Yeah, it just burned down maybe 2 months ago.
That's too bad.
And I think he
That's
was an
fine.
attorney, wasn't
Yeah, he was.
That's too
Oh, well, there you go.
Just.
That explains it.
Before we adjourn, so how would you like me to present the minutes? Do you want me to?
To me, just, I don't know if anybody else has an issue with
Okay.
them, but I'd like to have you confirm that
Yeah, I'll
and
watch
just
the
let me
tape
know.
and
Yeah.
That way I'll double check it.
Like I said, if that's what I said, I wish I hadn't, so.
I didn't know what that one sentence means, because it's related to the rule of the front yard.
Yeah.
It's got to be clarified.
Yeah.
Little update, everybody's aware of the ongoing litigation between the township board suing the ZBA. The hearing was 20 days ago, or it was published 20 days ago. And the judge ruled in the ZBA's favor, affirmed that the ZBA did things correctly and as it relates to the Pine Knob sign. So that was affirmed and theoretically put to bed. In terms of 21 days, late this afternoon, the township board filed to appeal the case to continue to spend lots of money. And so the case goes on. So the circuit court ruled in favor of the ZBA's action, ruled in favor that it wasn't going to be retroactively turned into a use variance, but was a dimensional variance and so forth. It was an interesting process to at least watch. And now apparently, and you guys could probably tell me better, it does not go back to the circuit court, it actually goes to the appeals court. The appeals court has the right, essentially what's happening now is the board is making an appeal to the appeals court, a request to the appeals court that the appeals court will hear it. And then ultimately there'll be discussion for briefs from both sides of whether or not the appeals court even hears it.
Generally,
If it hears it, then it would go further.
Generally, an appeal to the Court of Appeals is by right. And it's the Supreme Court that you have to request permission. Now, there may be some niche I'm unaware of with respect to these kinds of cases because of the fact that a decision was made here and it's been appealed once, so
Right.
they have to ask the Court of Appeals. I'm not sure.
I don't know, you certainly have a lot more expertise and experience than I do on that. I'm going by what the attorney for this, representing the ZBA told me today, that it's not even necessarily a sure thing that it'll go to the appeals court,
Okay.
but I don't know.
Well, it goes to them. It's just they see the briefs, and the hill for the township to climb is to say to the Court of Appeals, there is a reason that you ought to hear this.
Right.
Essentially.
Okay.
Fancier legal words, but
Right.
that's what it comes down to.
Pretty fast to convince them.
Yep.
So, I'm told that could take a year or more, it's just a crazy, crazy process.
You know, with the light problem, the planning commission, I don't know if Ron, were you on the planning commission when the center across the street, the new assisted living, the complaint from the neighbors up on the hill to the west, it wasn't anything to do with the parking lot lights, it wasn't anything to do with them building the cottages they're gonna build.
Internal lights.
It was the
Yeah.
internal
they're
lights
supposed-
shining through the
they're
big
fixing-
windows,
And they're
Inside
supposed to
the
be addressing
building.
that.
inside the building.
They're
Yeah,
supposed to be
they're
gonna
fixing
put some like curtains that they can close.
They bought,
Oh.
they're doing motorized blinds, and it's all gonna be Wi-Fi timed and
And-
fancy,
And we don't know what's gonna happen with all that vacant property to the north of the particular sign in question, so
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yep.
It'll work out. Somebody will make money.
Well, we know the attorneys will, and we know the taxpayers will lose, because they're paying for both sides. But,
I make a motion to adjourn at 6:58.
Support?
perfect. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned, gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you, Brian.